The Discovery. Far beyond the reaches of well-traveled space, Dr. Lisa Morgan stood frozen in place, her eyes fixed on the ancient stone tablet before her. After 3 years of digging through the ruins on this distant world, her team had finally found something remarkable. "I think these are coordinates," she whispered, running her fingers over the strange markings carved into the weathered surface. Her assistant, Ben Ellis, leaned closer. "Coordinates to what?" "I don't know yet," Lisa replied, carefully photographing each section of the tablet. "But whatever it is, the creators of these ruins thought it was important enough to hide in their most sacred chamber." 2 weeks later, Lisa presented her findings to the Galactic Council, the governing body that oversaw relations between the 17 known sentient species. The large chamber hummed with whispers as representatives from across the galaxy discussed her discovery. "These coordinates point to a system at the edge of the Carina Arm," Lisa explained, pointing to a holographic map. "It's uncharted territory, but according to our calculations, it should contain something of great significance." Ambassador Zorn, a tall reptilian being with iridescent scales, leaned forward. "And you wish for council resources to investigate this hunch?" "It's more than a hunch," Lisa insisted. "The ruins clearly indicate—" "Dr. Morgan," interrupted Ambassador Trell, her blue skin flushing a deeper shade of indigo, "the council has already funded your archaeological pursuits for 3 years. Without concrete evidence, we cannot justify an expedition to uncharted space." Lisa left the meeting defeated but not deterred. Back at her small apartment, she called the one person she knew would listen. "Jack, it's Lisa. I need your help." Jack Winters had been her friend since university days. A veteran explorer with his own ship, the Horizon, he'd never turned down an adventure. "What's the council saying?" Jack asked when she explained her discovery. "They laughed me out of the chamber," Lisa sighed. "Said I was chasing ghosts." "Well," Jack grinned through the video feed, "good thing I like ghosts. When do we leave?" 3 days later, the Horizon dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates from the tablet. Lisa, Jack, and a small crew of trusted friends stared at their view screens in stunned silence. Before them floated hundreds of massive ships, arranged in perfect formation. The vessels appeared ancient, their hulls dark and silent, showing no signs of power or life. "My God," whispered Olivia Reed, their systems analyst. "It's a fleet." Jack whistled low. "Not just a fleet. That's a war fleet. Look at the configurations." They spent the next day carefully scanning the mysterious armada. The ships showed no response to their presence, remaining dark and dormant. "These designs don't match any known species," Ben said, analyzing the data. "And based on the cosmic radiation decay on the hulls, they'd been here for at least 5,000 years. When Lisa sent her preliminary findings to the council, their response was dismissive. "Interesting artifacts, Dr. Morgan," Ambassador Zorn replied. "Perhaps worthy of historical documentation, but hardly the significant discovery you promised. These relics appear primitive compared to modern vessels." Ambassador Trell was even less impressed. "These museum pieces might interest archaeologists, but they hold no strategic or technological value. The Council appreciates your report, but sees no reason for further investigation." Lisa fumed as she read their messages. "They don't understand what they're looking at," she told Jack as they prepared to board one of the ancient ships. "These vessels may be old, but something tells me they're far from primitive." As their shuttle approached the largest ship in the formation, Lisa's scanner beeped with an unexpected alert. "Jack," she said slowly, her voice trembling with excitement, "I'm detecting language markers embedded in the ship's design. They're in English." Jack's eyes widened. "English? But that would mean—" "Yes," Lisa nodded, her heart racing. "Humans built this fleet before we ever left Earth." Jack guided their shuttle toward what appeared to be a docking bay on the massive lead vessel. As they approached, ancient running lights suddenly flickered to life along the ship's hull. "Did you do something?" Lisa asked, gripping her seat as the shuttle's controls momentarily fluctuated. "No," Jack replied, his voice steady despite his surprise. "The ship is responding to our presence." The docking bay doors slowly parted, revealing a cavernous space within. Jack carefully maneuvered their shuttle inside, setting it down gently on the deck. The bay repressurized automatically, another sign that the ancient systems were somehow still functional. "Atmosphere readings are normal," Ben reported, checking his scanner. "Oxygen, nitrogen, traces of carbon dioxide. It's breathable." Lisa led the small team out of the shuttle. Their footsteps echoed in the enormous bay as flashlights cut through the darkness. Everything was covered in a fine layer of dust, undisturbed for millennia. "The design feels familiar," Olivia noted, running her hand along a bulkhead. "Almost like old Earth naval vessels, but adapted for space." They moved deeper into the ship, following corridors that seemed designed for human proportions. Every few minutes, their presence would trigger dormant systems. Lights would flicker on, doors would slide open. After nearly an hour of exploration, they reached what appeared to be the bridge. A semicircle of control stations faced a large viewport now showing only the blackness of space and the silhouettes of other ships in the fleet. "Look at this," San Harris, their engineer, called from a central console. "These interfaces, they're designed for human hands." Lisa approached a raised platform at the center of the bridge. As she stepped onto it, a circular panel lit up beneath her feet. A soft hum filled the room as more systems activated around them. "Biometric scan complete," announced a calm, feminine voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Human genetic signature confirmed." The team froze in place. "Hello," Lisa ventured. A holographic figure materialized before her. A woman in what appeared to be a naval uniform, unlike any current Earth design. "Greetings, descendants," the figure said. "I am Guardian, integrated artificial intelligence of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are the first humans to board this vessel in 5,218 standard years." Jack stepped forward. "You recognize us as human." "Your genetic markers match those in my database," Guardian replied. "Though I detect minor evolutionary changes consistent with my temporal calculations." Lisa's mind raced with questions. Guardian, who built this fleet? And why was it abandoned here? The hologram's expression grew solemn. "This fleet represents the last major military achievement of the first human expansion. It was constructed as a contingency against the return of an enemy we called the Scourge." "First human expansion," Ben echoed. "Our history doesn't record any interstellar civilization before current Earth settlements." "That is because knowledge of the first expansion was deliberately erased," Guardian explained. "When the Scourge attacked Earth and its colonies, humanity was nearly exterminated. The survivors who returned to Earth chose to begin again, removing all knowledge of space travel to protect future generations. But they built this fleet first," Lisa realized. "As insurance." "Correct. Admiral Elena Reyes commanded the construction of this fleet using technology the Scourge had never encountered. The vessels were designed to appear primitive from the outside, while containing our most advanced systems within." Sam had been examining one of the control panels. "These systems are beyond anything we have now. The power source alone is." He was interrupted by an alarm from their shuttle's communication system. Lisa activated her portable comm unit. "Dr. Morgan," came Ambassador Zorn's voice, "our sensors detect unauthorized boarding of the artifact vessels. The Council has dispatched ships to your location. You will cease all activities immediately and await formal archaeological protocols." Guardian's hologram turned toward Lisa. "Dr. Morgan, I must inform you that this fleet will respond to Council interference as a potential threat. I recommend you establish authorized command protocols before their arrival." "How do I do that?" Lisa asked. "Place your hand on the central console," Guardian instructed. "The fleet awaits its new commander." Lisa hesitated for only a moment before placing her palm on the console. A warm blue light scanned her hand, then spread up her arm and across her body. DNA sequence confirmed, Guardian announced. Command transfer protocol initiated. Dr. Lisa Morgan, you are now recognized as acting fleet commander. The bridge came fully alive around them. Dormant screens lit up, displaying information in both ancient and modern English. The main viewport flickered and enhanced, showing the vast fleet stretching into the distance. Guardian, Lisa said, trying to grasp the enormity of what was happening. Show us what happened. Show us our history. The hologram nodded and the bridge darkened. A three-dimensional display appeared in the center, showing Earth as it had been thousands of years ago. The first human expansion began in 2135, Guardian explained as the hologram showed ships leaving Earth. Within 2 centuries, humanity had settled 12 star systems and made contact with 3 alien civilizations. The display showed human cities on distant worlds, magnificent structures that put their modern colonies to shame. It was a golden age of exploration and advancement, Guardian continued, until we encountered the Scourge. The hologram shifted to show dark, angular ships appearing near the outer colonies. What followed was horrific. Planets burned, fleets destroyed, and billions of lives lost as the unknown enemy advanced toward Earth. The Scourge consumed everything in their path, Guardian said. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They only destroyed. Jack watched grimly. Why don't we know about any of this? As the Scourge approached Earth, a final plan was enacted, Guardian explained. The hologram showed a small group of ships escaping Earth while others engaged the enemy. A few thousand survivors would return to Earth after the attack, abandoning all technology that might attract the Scourge again. Meanwhile, Admiral Rice led a mission to create this fleet, hidden away until humanity advanced enough to reclaim it. And the Scourge? Ben asked. What happened to them? Unknown. They retreated after devastating Earth. Our projections suggested they would eventually return. This fleet was specifically designed to combat their technology. Sam moved from console to console, examining the technology. This is incredible. The weapons systems alone are beyond anything we have now. And look at these stealth configurations. They're why the ships appear primitive to outside scans. Olivia was studying another display. There's a database here, medical advancements, engineering designs, physics theories our scientists haven't even considered yet. The fleet contains all knowledge saved from the first expansion, Guardian confirmed. It was meant to accelerate humanity's return to the stars when the time was right. Lisa was about to respond when the ship's sensors chimed an alert. 6 vessels approaching, Guardian reported. Configuration matches current Galactic Council military designs. On the viewport, they could see the Council ships, sleek and modern, approaching the ancient fleet. They're hailing us, Jack said. Lisa nodded for him to open the channel. Ambassador Zorn's reptilian face appeared on screen. Dr. Morgan, he said coldly, you have violated multiple Council protocols. These artifacts fall under Council jurisdiction for proper study and preservation. Ambassador, Lisa replied, these aren't artifacts. This is a human fleet, built by our ancestors. Zorn's expression shifted to one of dismissal. Preposterous. Human civilization barely managed spaceflight 300 years ago. These vessels are clearly relics of some forgotten species. I have proof, Lisa insisted. What you have are delusions of grandeur, Zorn snapped. The Council has voted. These vessels will be towed to the Central Research Facility for proper study by qualified experts. Guardian's hologram appeared beside Lisa. Dr. Morgan, Council vessels are activating tractor beams. Should I engage defensive protocols? Zorn's eyes widened at the sight of the AI. What is that? Lisa straightened her shoulders and met the ambassador's gaze. That, Ambassador, is the proof you don't believe exists. And this fleet isn't going anywhere. You have 1 hour to vacate those vessels, Zorn warned before cutting the transmission. What now? Jack asked. Lisa turned to Guardian. Show me what this fleet can really do. Guardian's hologram gestured toward the command chair at the center of the bridge. As Lisa sat down, interfaces formed around her hands and a neural connection activated, linking her mind directly to the ship's systems. Incredible, she whispered, suddenly aware of the massive vessel around her like it was an extension of her own body. The neural interface allows for rapid command decisions, Guardian explained, but operating the entire fleet will require more humans with compatible neural patterns. Jack watched as Lisa's eyes darted back and forth, processing information only she could see. Lisa, what are you seeing? Everything, she replied. Ship systems, defense capabilities, weapons, and there's something else. She focused on a particular data stream. Guardian, what are these dormant systems? Those are the drone networks, Guardian replied. 10,000 autonomous defense units stored throughout the fleet. They serve as both repair units and combat support. Sam whistled. 10,000 combat drones. With this tech, they'd run circles around anything the Council has. Lisa nodded, then disconnected from the neural interface. We need to contact Earth. The Council isn't going to back down without a fight, and we need reinforcements. The Council ships are moving into formation, Olivia reported from the sensor station. Looks like they're preparing to deploy boarding parties. Guardian's hologram flickered. Dr. Morgan, I must inform you that any unauthorized boarding attempts will trigger automated defense responses. While non-lethal options are available, I cannot guarantee the safety of Council personnel. Send them a warning, Lisa ordered. Make it clear that this is sovereign human territory. Jack sent the message, but the response was immediate and dismissive. They're not buying it, he reported. Their commander says no human civilization has the capacity to build vessels of this size, and they're proceeding with artifact recovery as ordered. Artifact recovery, Lisa muttered. That's a fancy term for theft. Sam looked up from his console. I've got teams in boarding craft approaching 3 of the ships, including this one. Lisa made a decision. Guardian, activate non-lethal defenses only. Repel the boarding parties, but ensure no casualties. Acknowledged, Guardian replied. Throughout the fleet, previously invisible defense systems came online. Energy fields activated around each ship, stopping the Council boarding craft in their tracks. Some were gently pushed away, while others found themselves unable to cut through the ancient hulls. Council vessels are powering weapons, Olivia warned. Before Lisa could respond, a perfect dome of energy extended from the flagship, encompassing the entire fleet. The Council ships fired, their energy weapons dissipating harmlessly against the shield. They can't hurt us, Jack realized. Not with what they're using, Guardian confirmed. This defensive barrier was designed to withstand weapons far more powerful than current Galactic Council technology. Ambassador Zorn's face appeared on the main screen again, his expression furious. Dr. Morgan, what trickery is this? Deactivate these countermeasures immediately. Lisa stood tall. This is not trickery, Ambassador. This is human technology, built by our ancestors thousands of years ago. I've sent proof to your science officers. If you check your data feeds, you'll see the human markers in the design. Impossible, Zorn sputtered, but she could see him reviewing information off-screen. His expression shifted from anger to confusion. These readings can't be correct. They are correct, Lisa assured him. Now shall we discuss this calmly, or do you wish to continue this pointless show of force? Before Zorn could answer, another alert sounded. Lisa, Ben called from his station. We've got multiple new ships entering the system, not Council designs. The viewport shifted to show a dozen vessels approaching rapidly from the system's edge. Their black angular hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Guardian's hologram stiffened. Alert. Priority 1 threat detected. Scourge scout formation identified. The Scourge. Jack's face paled. But you said they've been gone for thousands of years. It appears, Guardian said grimly, that they have returned. Lisa looked at the approaching ships, then back at Zorn's confused face on the screen. Ambassador, We have a much bigger problem than ownership disputes now. Ambassador Zorn's face showed disbelief as Lisa explained about the approaching Scourge vessels. These claims are absurd, he scoffed. Another transparent attempt to maintain control of these artifacts. Ambassador, Lisa said urgently, scan the approaching ships yourself. They match no known design in council records. As if to punctuate her warning, one of the Scourge scouts fired on the outermost council vessel. The beam of dark energy sliced through its shields like they didn't exist. The council ship exploded in a blinding flash. By the 7 moons, Zorn whispered, his scales paling. The destruction of a council warship in a single shot was unprecedented. Pull your ships back behind our defensive perimeter, Lisa ordered. Guardian, full defensive activation across the fleet. The ancient vessels began to hum with power. Armor plates shifted, revealing weapon ports that had remained hidden for millennia. We need to coordinate, Lisa told Zorn. Have your remaining ships fall back to these coordinates. For once, the ambassador didn't argue. The 5 remaining council vessels retreated hastily, taking position behind the ancient fleet's energy barrier. Guardian, what are we facing? Lisa asked. Scourge Scout Formation. The eye replied. 12 vessels, likely an advance party. Their technology shows advancement since our last encounter, but core signatures remain consistent. Can we beat them? Jack asked. Affirmative, but optimal operation requires human neural links for each primary vessel. Current staffing allows operation of this ship at 71% efficiency only. Sam looked up from his console. I've been studying the neural interface. I think I can link in to help control weapon systems. Do it. Lisa nodded. Jack, take navigation. Olivia, shields. As her team connected to the ship's systems, Lisa reopened the channel to Zorn. Ambassador, we need to contact Earth immediately. We need trained personnel to fully activate this fleet. Zorn had abandoned his earlier skepticism. Our fastest communication vessel can reach the relay network in 6 hours. Too long, Lisa replied. Guardian, does this ship have long-range communication capabilities? Affirmative. Quantum entanglement communication system is operational. Lisa's eyes widened. Quantum entanglement? That's just theoretical in our time. Not theoretical, Guardian corrected. Just forgotten. With Guardian's help, Lisa established direct communication with Earth's Space Command. General Alan Rivera appeared on screen, his expression changing from annoyance to shock as Lisa rapidly explained the situation. Let me get this straight, Rivera said. You found an ancient human fleet. It's under attack by an enemy that nearly wiped us out thousands of years ago, and you need pilots immediately. That's correct, General, Lisa confirmed. And the technology on these ships is beyond anything we have now. Our history books are missing several chapters. Rivera disappeared briefly, consulting with others off-screen. When he returned, his face was grim but determined. I'm dispatching every qualified pilot and engineer within reach. ETA 16 hours. We may not have 16 hours, Lisa said, watching as the Scourge vessels moved into attack formation. You'll have to hold them until we arrive, Rivera said. Good luck, Doctor. The Scourge ships accelerated toward them, their weapons charging. The council vessels moved nervously behind the ancient fleet's shield barrier. They're targeting us specifically, Jack noted. They're ignoring the council ships now. They recognize this fleet, Guardian confirmed. The Scourge have genetic memory. They know these vessels were built to defeat them. The first wave of attacks hit the shield barrier, causing it to flare brilliantly. Unlike the council weapons, these actually stressed the defensive systems. Shields at 92% and holding, Olivia reported. Return fire, Lisa ordered. The ancient flagship responded, energy weapons lancing out to meet the Scourge vessels. 2 direct hits caused one scout ship to spiral away, trailing dark energy. First blood to us, Sam said grimly. But the remaining Scourge ships adjusted quickly, changing their attack pattern. Their movements became more erratic, harder to predict. They're adaptive, Guardian warned. This is why full neural crews are optimal. Human intuition coupled with ship systems can outthink their adaptation algorithms. Lisa took a deep breath and fully immersed herself in the neural link. Then we'll just have to be more adaptive than they are. All stations, prepare for combat maneuvers. As the ancient fleet engaged the enemy that had haunted humanity's forgotten past, Lisa felt a strange connection to the ship's previous commanders, the ones who had fought this same enemy thousands of years ago. And like them, she was determined not to fail. The battle raged for 6 hours. Lisa and her makeshift crew pushed themselves and the ancient flagship to their limits, but they were badly outnumbered. 3 Scourge vessels had been destroyed, but the remaining 9 had adapted to their attack patterns and were now systematically targeting the shield generators. Shield Grid 7 failing. Olivia called out, her voice strained from the prolonged neural connection. I'm rerouting power, but we can't keep this up much longer. Even Guardian's hologram appeared to flicker with strain. Dr. Morgan, the Scourge are deploying boarding pods toward the secondary vessels. Without active crews, those ships cannot defend themselves internally. Lisa wiped sweat from her forehead. The neural link was exhausting, like running a mental marathon. We need those reinforcements from Earth. As if answering her plea, the ship's sensors detected multiple hyperspace signatures. 20 human vessels dropped into normal space behind them. This is General Rivera on the UES Defender, came a welcome voice over the comm. Sorry we're late. Traffic was terrible. Despite their fatigue, Lisa and her team laughed in relief. General, you have no idea how happy we are to see you. We've brought 200 of our best pilots and engineers, Rivera replied. Now, how do we get them aboard those ancient ships? Guardian, Lisa asked, can we use the internal transport system? Affirmative. System is designed for rapid crew deployment. Provide coordinates of personnel, and I will initiate transfer. Within minutes, Earth's elite space personnel were being transported directly onto the ancient vessels. As each ship received its human crew, more systems came online throughout the fleet. This is Captain Ryan Daniels, a new voice reported. I've got control of vessel designation Alpha 3. This ship, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Captain Alexis Howard reporting from Alpha 7. Neural link established. This is incredible. One by one, the ancient ships awakened as human minds connected with them. The scattered defense that Lisa and her small team had mounted transformed into something coordinated and powerful. General Rivera's transport craft docked with the flagship, and the man himself strode onto the bridge, flanked by his senior officers. He stopped short at the sight of Guardian's hologram. General, Lisa greeted him, her voice tired but determined. Welcome to humanity's legacy. Rivera nodded respectfully to her before turning to Guardian. Are you the ship's eye? I am Guardian, Integrated Intelligence of the Earth Defense Fleet, the hologram replied. Your arrival is most fortuitous, General. Full fleet activation requires 2,000 neural-compatible humans. Current deployment stands at 27% of optimal staffing. We've got more people coming, Rivera assured her. But first, let's deal with these Scourge scouts. With the reinforcements from Earth, the tide of battle turned. The ancient vessels moved with increasing coordination as their human crews learned to work with the neural interfaces. Ships that had appeared dormant and lifeless now executed complex maneuvers with surprising speed and agility. Lisa watched in amazement as the vessels began to transform. Outer hull plates that had appeared weathered and primitive shifted position, revealing gleaming weapon ports and thruster arrays. What's happening? Rivera asked, watching the transformation on the viewport. Combat configuration, Guardian explained. The fleet's true capabilities were deliberately concealed until activated by authorized personnel. Sam's excited voice came over the comm. Lisa, you won't believe what I'm seeing. These ships have metamaterials that can change their physical properties on command. The whole ancient derelict look was camouflage. The Scourge clearly recognized the danger. Their remaining vessels attempted to retreat, but the newly awakened fleet moved to intercept them. All vessels, coordinate fire on designated targets, General Rivera commanded, taking to his role with natural authority. The ancient fleet responded as one. Weapon systems that had been dormant for millennia unleashed their power. Brilliant energy beams connected multiple ships to single targets, overwhelming the Scourge defenses. Within minutes, the scout formation was reduced to drifting debris, but Guardian's hologram remained alert. "Victory confirmed," she announced. However, Scourge communication patterns detected before destruction. High probability that a distress signal was transmitted. "What does that mean?" Rivera asked. Lisa met his concerned gaze. "It means this was just the beginning. The scouts will have called for reinforcements." Guardian nodded. "Based on historical patterns, we should expect the main Scourge fleet within 72 hours. This engagement was merely a prelude." The atmosphere throughout the ancient fleet changed dramatically over the next 48 hours. Transport ships from Earth arrived continuously, bringing thousands of trained personnel to crew the vessels. The Galactic Council, now fully aware of the threat, dispatched their own ships to join the defensive line. Lisa stood on the flagship's observation deck, watching as humans hurried to their stations across the fleet. Where once there had been silence and darkness, now there was purpose and light. "It's quite a sight," Jack said, joining her by the viewport. 10,000 years of human history, and we never knew we'd done all this before. Guardian says the first expansion was deliberately erased from our records. Lisa replied, "Our ancestors believed knowledge of advanced space travel would attract the Scourge back to Earth before we were ready. Well, ready or not, here they come." Jack nodded toward the long-range sensor display, showing hundreds of Scourge vessels approaching. General Rivera entered the observation deck with Ambassador Zorn and representatives from 3 other council species. The alien diplomats gazed around in poorly concealed awe. "Dr. Morgan," Zorn addressed her with newfound respect, "the Council has voted unanimously to recognize humanity's claim to this fleet and to provide all possible assistance against the Scourge threat." "A generous offer, Ambassador," Lisa replied with a hint of irony, "considering we've confirmed the Scourge vessels have already destroyed 2 Council outposts on their approach." Rivera stepped forward. "We've completed neural linking with 87% of the fleet. Guardian says that's enough for full combat effectiveness." As if summoned by her name, Guardian's hologram appeared. "Correct, General. And I have activated all specialized combat systems. The fleet stands ready." "Specialized systems?" one of the alien representatives asked. Guardian nodded. "This fleet was specifically designed to counter Scourge technology. While their adaptive capabilities make them formidable opponents, they have consistent weaknesses our weapons are designed to exploit." The main Scourge armada arrived sooner than expected, dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Nearly 300 vessels, each larger and more menacing than the scouts they had faced earlier. From the flagship's bridge, now fully staffed and humming with activity, Lisa watched as all ships reported ready for battle. She had refused to leave despite Rivera's suggestion that she return to safety. "This began with me," she had told him firmly. "I'll see it through." The Scourge attacked without warning or communication, just as the historical records had shown. Their first assault targeted the Council vessels positioned at the fleet's flanks. "They're trying to isolate us," Rivera observed. "Cut off our allies first." "Protection Protocol Theta," Guardian suggested. It was effective in previous engagements. Rivera nodded. "All vessels, execute Theta pattern. Protect our allies." The ancient fleet moved with startling precision, ships forming overlapping defensive barriers around the Council vessels. When the Scourge weapons struck, they met energy fields specifically tuned to their frequencies. "Now," Rivera ordered, "show them what humanity remembers." The counterattack was devastating. The ancient vessels released thousands of combat drones that swarmed toward the Scourge ships. Unlike conventional weapons, these drones phased through the enemy shields as if they weren't there, attaching to their hulls and disrupting their systems from within. Meanwhile, the larger ships unleashed weapons that bent space itself, creating localized gravity wells that pulled Scourge vessels out of formation. Lisa watched in amazement as the battle unfolded. They're not adapting, she realized. The Scourge aren't adapting to our attacks. Because they cannot, Guardian explained. These weapons operate on principles they have never encountered. Admiral Rice and her team developed them after studying Scourge remains from Earth's fall. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome became increasingly clear. The ancient fleet, designed specifically for this enemy, systematically dismantled the Scourge forces. By the time the last enemy vessel was destroyed, humanity had not lost a single ship. As the bridge crew celebrated, Ambassador Zorn approached Lisa, his earlier skepticism completely gone. "Dr. Morgan," he said quietly, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our sincere apology. We dismissed your claims and nearly lost these vessels to our arrogance." Lisa smiled. "The important thing is that we stopped the Scourge together." "Indeed," Zorn agreed. "But this victory reveals something the Council must now accept. Humanity is not the young species we believed you to be. You are the returned masters of technologies we can barely comprehend."